Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to check us out tonight. This is the Rough Craft, the show dedicated to creating new stories while enjoying a nice, tasty beer. As always, I am your host, Tom, joined by my best friend and co-host, Mr. Matt Clark.
Hey, how's it going?
We like to make rough drafts while drinking good crafts. Tonight, the second extension of the show that we've already done tonight, what we're here doing is, hold on a sec, fuck something up. There we go. What we're doing here now is really what the stream was supposed to be about tonight, but we had some fun things we wanted to plan just to make things a little bit more eventful. But what we're doing tonight is we're just gonna sit here and kind of talk about the show, what the show has been. It's been through a lot of transitions, and I think even still, we're still really learning about what this show is going to be. I just know, and I think Matt knows. At the end of the day, we both like creating stories. I can't say writing because I don't do too much writing. We like creating stories. We like talking to other people that like creating stories. And we like drinking beer. And we like to try to be funny when we can. And at the crux of everything, that's what this show's about. So this show is for, or this episode is for anybody that really cares about this show, that really likes this show. If you read the description, that's what we're here for. And we're just kind of updating you guys on what's going on and what's going to happen, or what has happened and what's going to be happening in the future. So, Matt, with all that being said, what are your thoughts so far on what has happened? We'll talk about how the show has progressed and everything first of all.
Well, like if we look through, now I was doing this earlier before we went live again, but if we look through our streams, our past videos, like I would say season 1 ended with Pantheon's verdict, the end of the Pantheon's verdict. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we came back a couple months later with Avalon Reaper, and I think the season 2 has been going pretty good for the past 9 months. We've been streaming at least every Saturday. We might have missed a couple here and there, but
yeah, but we've been trying our best to get at least once a week. And Matt's referring to them as seasons. We haven't referred to them until like the last few episodes of this season, this current season, as seasons. But that's kind of a good way to kind of break them up for us. So season 1 was really us kind of like getting our feet wet and trying to figure out what we're doing. A lot of changes happened then. In season 2, if you go through and watch it, it's more of us kind of getting a good grasp. I
was going to say it was evolving the show.
Yeah, it was evolving the show, but really, really kind of getting an idea of what we're doing and kind of at least getting steady footing as what we're doing. And then season 3, man, it's like season 1 and season 2, man. I know I personally have big plans for what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times just with time and everything, and especially now that I have a baby coming, we're going to fall short of that even. But we always have bigger plans than what this show actually is. And I think as long as we do that, we'll constantly progress.
As long as we keep working on it. Like, this is the most you've done in a project.
Yeah, for sure.
Forever, besides the Army.
Yeah, and that wasn't a lot of that wasn't by choice. Once you sign up, you lost your option of choice.
But I think keeping interviewing writers is going to be good. A good thing to stick to.
I think that's a positive venture, no matter how it turns out. You know, like at the end of the day, it's going to be a positive thing.
And Take Your Shot, I think, is one of our flagships.
Yeah, it really is. I think our flagship was I mean, what the title of the show is, the Rough Drafts and Good Crafts. That's what the show is about. Me and Matt just hanging out, coming up with new stories. That's what the show originated as, and it's evolved from there. And I still love that idea. It's just it's hard to get people interested in coming to listen to two guys just making up a story. Yeah. If you cared about us, you would care about the show, and that would be interesting. But you know, we got to kind of make it pop a little bit more. And I think things like the Take Your Shot and the Writer's Craft and those different iterations are definitely something that'll make it more so pop for people coming and checking us out.
Yeah. But we plan on, like, we interviewed a lot of people, but we interviewed the same. Yeah. We interviewed the same people.
Both very true statements.
Yeah. The new one was Neil. Neil was the newest. He was going to come on tonight. But speaking of which, we need to talk about. I don't know if that got across in the take your shot video stream. But the reason we didn't do the charity stream tonight is because we didn't promote it well enough,
Yeah.
and we figured that it would be a good thing to come back to, like start kick season 3 off would be another Carolina Reaper charity stream.
I would say the first episode may not necessarily be that, but definitely one of the within the first 2 to 3 episodes, we're gonna be doing that stream, and I just want to say, like, with this show, like, we have so many different iterations that me and Matt have talked about. I think I mentioned on the stream. We would love to be able to have the time to do this like 4 times a week. We could do Rough Craft one night. We could do Writer's Craft one night. We could do Take Your Shot one night. We could do the Book Report one night. You know, there's all these different versions. We could do Beers and Buds one night. But we don't have the time to do that. So every week it's just kind of like whatever we feel like doing, which is kind of for the best with this show because, you know, we're both working guys. We got families. So a lot of this is for fun and for passion. So we just kind of, whatever we feel like doing that week, we're doing.
If we got nothing and it goes straight to a rough craft, we just make a story.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just a lot of it's us kind of like flying by the seat of our pants and just adjusting fire as we need to. But I mean, our main goal is to be here and to be doing this because we both enjoy doing it. And I think we went 1 week this past season, or the current season that we're in right now, where we had missed a week and we had some people asking where we were, and that's exactly what we want. Like we got 4 people here viewing the show right now, and that tickles me to death that we have people checking us out the show and everything, because I'm just happy to be here doing this. I love being in front of people. I love the idea of being able to entertain people while doing this sort of thing, and I think the idea that we have this show based around is things Matt enjoys and I enjoy, and that's something I didn't touch on earlier, is the amateur author portion of all this. That's another big important part of this, is to try to eventually build to a platform. We can't really say we have it now, but to build to a platform where we can bring in amateur authors like Logan, like Pat, like Sean, like Brian, like Neil.
Rona.
Sorry, still feeling the effects of the Reaper from earlier, but bring these people in so when they get to the point where they publish their book, people can not only go out and check out their book, we can promote their book through our show, and also people can kind of really see the kind of the backbone, where they came from and stuff, and get those early ideas. Like, imagine if you had a show like, and I hate to like try to build ourselves up in this way, but imagine you had a show like this that had a young J.R. Martin on it, or a young Stephen King on it, talking about this idea of Game of Thrones or any of those types of things. Like, that'd be very interesting and entertaining to watch. And that's kind of what we want to do, is we want to build a platform so these people can talk about their stuff and gush and enjoy speaking about their books, while then, you know, hopefully they elevate to a higher status. And then, you know, we have this platform here that'll elevate them there, and also be a staging point so people can see where they came from in the beginning.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I like doing this kind of stuff, because you can kind of hear different points of views when it comes to building the story and everything like that. One thing I would like to work on is our interviewing skills.
Yeah.
Before we start season 3. Neil, I know you said you enjoyed yourself, but we went back and watched that video, that stream, and we kept interrupting you like a son of a bitch.
I think we started off good, but definitely by midway, and that's kind of like it's the hard point of this sort of show. We do drink beer while we're doing the show, so, and the idea is to get us loose and get us enjoying what we're doing, but at the same time, beer can have an effect that kind of like controls you at a certain point, or drinking in general. And that's what I think definitely came over that night with the episode with Neil. And you can go back and check it. And you can be the judge for yourself. But we definitely got to a point where it became where the show became more about me and Matt and less about our guest. And part of that is because we did become more comfortable with Neil. Neil's a great guy. I enjoyed talking to him, and he felt like a friend, even though that was like the second time I think we ever talked to him. So it just really, really fit and felt like, you know, we're just hanging out with Devin or Dick from earlier. Mm-hmm. So it was hard not to be like that. Me and Matt's, you know, fucking attacking each other like we normally do, just having a good time. And meanwhile, there's this guy that that at some points it seemed like he was taking a back seat because Neil's just a great, nice guy. So we got to do a better job of focusing. I'm sorry to now. I'm realizing I just totally sidetracked what you were saying to
No,
put it
no,
on me, but
you're hitting on the points that we need to focus more on the guests when
yeah,
we have them in.
exactly.
I kind of got the feeling like that when we had Pat and Sean both on. Now I figured they would have like a similar chemistry like us, but they didn't. That didn't really happen. We were either focusing on one and ignoring the other
Yeah,
each time, and then I
and
try to
I think
keep my. Go ahead.
personalities like personal. I'm sorry. I think personal personalities come into that sort of thing. Like I think, at least in that interview itself, because this is all about a reflection of the shows we've done in the past. I think that episode itself, Pat seems like more of a guy that kind of keeps quiet to himself and lets other people kind of speak their mind, and he comes in when he has something important to say. And so, and not to say anything Sean said wasn't important, or me or you, but I mean,
No, what I just talk when I feel like it.
yeah, and
I
I
don't even
think
think about what I'm going to say. I'm just going like, yeah.
yeah, and I think Pat is more one of those. I don't want to say he's quite reserved because I don't think he is one of those kind of guys, but he was more kind of doing his own. He's just kind of more to himself. It seems like, at least in that interview. So I don't think it was even necessarily anything on our part, but I think it is our job to make sure we're engaging, interacting with each of the guests. And I think, and it's just like, even the way I'm doing this now currently, I'm more comfortable than I was in the past. It's just, it's all, we've been doing this 2 years now, but it takes time. You don't just, get good at this sort of thing over time.
And we're not interviewers by trade. We're just two guys. We're
Yeah.
just two guys who picked up an IPA one day and like, wow, I like beer. And then we decided to make a show around it. Kinda.
Yeah. I'm glad you threw in the kind of, because that's exactly what I was thinking.
I mean, that's basically what happened. We're two guys who like beer. We like creative stuff. We like fantasy. We like writing and creating new worlds. And like, we'll just make a show around it. And then,
but we
and
do
that's
got
kind of
to.
what it evolved into.
We do gotta like do a better job of focusing on the guests whenever we have them on here. Like obviously we're the hosts, we're here, we're part of the show as well, and there's a way to make it engaging and focus on the guests while still getting whatever we want to say across, and that's just what we got. And it's just, it all comes with time, and also with this show, it is a bit of a different dynamic. There's a lot of podcasts out there that has two hosts with one guest, but for the most part, it's one host, one guest kind of situation, which is easier to have a single one-on-one conversation with. So we get lost in having the conversation with ourselves, and we just got to get better about that. Because really, when we do this show, it is like the once a time a week that me and Matt really talk. We message each other, but this is the time that we really hang out. So it's hard for us not to engage with one another and lose track of the guest, especially once we get comfortable with the guest, like we did with Neil.
Like
Neil is really nice, by the way. Wes, I keep fucking forgetting his name because it's XM West on there, but Logan had said Neil is a fucking super cool guy, and that's something I want to pay credit to Matt with. Is with this show, like, there hasn't been a single guest you've gotten on so far that I've been like, I don't want to have this guy. I don't want to talk to him. Brian,
I felt that way about Cameron. No, just kidding.
Brian is the only guest we've had on that was actually a friend of ours prior to doing this show that we already knew. And of course, we're going to be cool with him. But Logan, Neil, Pat, Sean, is there been anybody else new that we've had on besides them as far as like a actual writer guest?
No. Unless you include Joseph or Devin, but no.
Yeah. So those four guys, not only have they been super cool guys, they've also been very supportive. Like, you got Logan in the chat right now. Neil was in the chat earlier. Sean and Pat, they're more like me, where they don't necessarily engage with this sort of stuff, but anytime we talk to them, they're fucking ready and willing to come and do another show with us because they enjoyed it. And that makes me super happy that we've been able to create a game or a environment that is fun, at least for them. And after watching some of our interviews with them, I'm surprised that they feel that way, but it's awesome that they do.
Yeah. No, like it really surprised me how people took to this and then was happy or excited and enjoyed the show. It surprised me in I'm just wondering, um, how far could we go if we, actually spent more time in it than we do
Yeah.
now?
And I think I'm kind of like I'm on the same page, but while also thinking, I'm sure you're on the same page. Like I kind of don't care how far it'll go as long as I'm enjoying doing it. Like that's not like a cliche thing I'm saying just for people to like my personality or any bullshit. Like I enjoy doing this. This is fun, and it's always it gets you out of your comfort zone. Like the first time we met a random person, like back we would do these meetups beforehand, and we still try to do them when we can. We do these meetups beforehand, dude. I'm so nervous. I'm about to talk to a random stranger on the internet that I don't know, and that's what baffles me is every single time it's been such a great experience, and then we have them on the show, and it's so organic, and it's maybe because we're pulling people that's in the same sort of area as us in mindset, and it always works out, and it's super fun. So I look now, whereas before I was kind of nervous about it, and I still am nervous about it. I look forward to these random people we're gonna meet and bring onto the show and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think it's just super fun.
Speaking
But
speaking of one of the
go ahead.
guests, what's this idea that you have, XM West, that you think is cool, and a big cast would make it dope? Um,
Well, the only
so
issue
while
with
we
having a
wait for
big
him,
cast, it just makes running the show more difficult.
yeah,
Like
it could devolve into like madness.
yeah, one of the issues I've talked about with the show is we don't have a producer. Like I guess Matt at first was the producer, and then I became the producer because originally the show was my idea, and I don't say that in a way to like be like, to like brag or anything like that. It's it was my show, and I and Matt I think can contest to this. I'm so constantly changing my mind about what I want to do,
Every day.
and I cannot imagine how hard that is to work with. So I just slowly tried to box Matt out, so Matt isn't as worried about it as I am, because I don't want him to be worried about what we're doing when I'm the one making changes. And so because anyways, yeah, so I'm just constantly making changes and changing what I want to do. Next week I'm going to have a new idea that is, different than the idea I had last week. And so that's why it's so hard to pinpoint exactly what we're going to do with the show. That's why it's so broad. And that kind of is what I was wanting to talk about as far as where we go in the future. You go ahead real
He
quick, Matt.
he's talking about doing Thumper with writing.
We did have maybe it wasn't Thumper. We did have another drinking game. Let's see. Basically, you start a story, write for X amount of time. Next person 5 minutes. Next person has 5 minutes to read, then add to it, pass it on, read it all. Yeah, I think that's kind of the like we just have so many segments of this show, and it's so hard. But I mean, like we kind of have like a tool belt of shows that we can do each week. Where if we get a guest, whoever it may be, we can always find a guest, whether it's a friend or a writer that's become a friend, and we can fit them in to whatever works best with them. So it's kind of good in that way. So every week the show you're getting is the rough craft at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It just might be this version or this version or this version, but at the end of the day it's really the same show.
And like my favorite addition we added late in the season was Beers with Buds. And that
Yeah.
I fucking love that because it's just our friends telling stories. And it's
Yeah.
basically the same concept as the rough
I think
craft,
it
but
really
instead
hit
of
off.
making it up. Yeah.
It really hit off with the military one we did. But there's a lot of plans I have with the show as far as just a lot of it's really logistical stuff, just cleaning it up and making it neat looking when you go to the YouTube channel and here and there. And it just those little small minute details that nobody will notice are so hard to really get to and give the attention they deserve, like just organizing a playlist and stuff like that. But yeah, like I like that Logan's giving us this idea. It sounds like a good idea, and it'd be like as he said, it would be neat to try this out and test it out. And what I want to say with this, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's a good idea. The Thumper thing. It's just every participant would have to have a good setup.
Yeah,
to
that
do
is definitely the hardest thing, and it's not like we have Logan on. Logan's one of my favorite guests we've had. I think he's a great friend. Obviously, the motherfucker's here right now talking and chat, engaging with us, and that is super valuable to have. And I'm saying that like he's not the only person listening. Logan, you're engaging with us. We appreciate it. But Logan's setup isn't the best sometimes. Sometimes we have it and it works out good. Sometimes it doesn't. And Logan knows this. It's not like a slight against him. And so it's so hard because we're not like a multi-million-dollar company where we can just fly somebody in and have them set up with our mics and stuff. So it's tough to get the quality to a level where we think it's good enough for people to listen to. And that's one of the struggles we have.
Well, that's what he's saying. He's like, he likes the hangout stuff that we've been doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hell, that's the easiest fucking shit to do.
Yeah, that's the easiest shit to do.
I do like the fun, sporadic stuff, like what tonight's show was supposed to be, but what it ended up being really doesn't matter. But I like that sort of stuff. That stuff's fun too. Like, I like the idea of you don't know what we're gonna do each week. It's exciting. It's something new. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't like the idea that you hear it's one thing and you're like, oh, I was hoping it was this thing. That's what I kind of worry about. But what I'm hoping happens with going into the third season is we can really kind of figure out what we want to do. Like, it's take your shot. Is that the thing we want to do? Because I really fucking love doing the rough craft. And I think we did a good job the last time we did it when we had Devin on. I think maybe that could be the key point we're missing is a lot of those are just me and you. Maybe we need to make sure we have a guest whenever we do that. And maybe it's, we get the guest in and say, hey, man, what do you want to do? Do you want to do – we have this list of content that we can make. Do you want to do the rough craft? Do you want to do this? You want to do that? Have you read this book that we've read? Like whenever I finally ever finish Kings of the Wild, we can bring that in and then me, you, and Logan can talk about that. And just play it by ear. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we shouldn't focus on one thing and make that our thing. Maybe we should just keep expanding our ideas and the things we do and just make sure it's something fresh every week and our guests can come on and they can kind of pick what they want to do if they're familiar with the show. If not, we can just spit out the ideas to them real quick and they can pick what they want to do.
Yeah. We can definitely engage with the guest earlier than we do. And sometimes I give them 2 weeks notice. It's like, hey, not this upcoming weekend, but next weekend, what you doing? You want to come on?
I know when we
I don't
first
do it
started,
like that, but
when we first started doing the Writer's Craft, which was really like that was a big deal for us. Logan was our first guest. That was the first time we was going to have a guest, like a stranger, come in, and we're going to talk about their writing. And I know we prepared a lot for that. And then we did for Sean as well. And I think we did for Pat as well. And then after that,
Sean reread his whole entire book.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. But for Neil, once Neil came on, which Neil was already a fan of the show, he'd already watched it. And he came in knowing exactly what he wanted to do. He said he wanted to play Take Your Shot. And which seems to be the kind of the favorite pick of the writers. They seem to enjoy that, which I think, of course, why wouldn't they? Like, it's a writing game, like, for writers. So... But maybe that's how we should do it, is kind of like let the guest have content that we know is engaging and entertaining in and of itself, and then have the guest pick which version of that they want to play, they want to do, and then as long as the content we already have set up is engaging enough, I think we've kind of fell away from the Writer's Craft, which the show was originally the Rough Craft, which was where we were gonna just me and Matt come up with new stories. And then it turned into what was going to be the Writer's Craft at one point. This is kind of the reflection again, where we just have guests on and talk about their stories, which both of those I think are great ideas. And then with the Writer's Craft, we were able to formulate the idea for Take Your Shot, which is what we did earlier tonight, but it's I wouldn't say slight, a very different version. We did Take Your Shot, and we've done tons of Take Your Shots at this point with various guests. And what's cool about Take Your Shot is you can just do it with friends. It doesn't have to be some sort of writer or anything like that. So I think the Writer's Craft, which is a great idea, I think kind of in and of itself being more dull and boring than it was. That's why Take Your Shot was there, and that's why new writers coming in are gravitating to it. So, yeah. But anyways, we have all these different formats that we can do.
We could combine those.
Well, I mean, they basically are. Take Your Shot is basically the Writer's Craft, is the way I kind of see it. Like the episode we had with Neil, that last episode, that was a Writer's Craft episode. We just didn't have any story to go off of his. If we did, we would have went off of that. That would have been the whole interview. But instead, we talked about, a published author, which also goes into another idea that we had talked about, where we were going to pick a specific point to talk about with new authors, whether it be, world building or, getting self-published or traditionally published. That was an idea. So we took like 3 ideas and meshed them into one, and that's the evolution. That's what happened with that last episode with Neil. And I think that's good. And I think, with the casualness that we do this show, the casual way that we do this show, I think we're going to constantly, like, even by maybe the end of season 3, we'll have a more clear-cut framework of how we want to do this show.
I think, I think season 4 will be the kickoff, I think.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but either way, we're just going to continue to fill it out until we have, the way I see it, until we have, just a massive amount of people saying, this is what I want, this is what I want to see from this channel, then I don't think we're going to do it. But I think at the same time, if we're constantly just doing what we're doing, that's what they're going to want to see. If they're coming to watch our show, that's because they're going to want to see what we're already doing. So,
right.
We'll see how it goes. I'm enjoying doing it. It's not too hard to do. It does take a few hours on the day that we do it for me. But the things that I'm doing, I enjoy doing them. I love making these thumbnails. I love creating a thumbnail that is very plug and play, where I can, like, I get a format and then I can mix and match. It still takes time, trust me. Like today, like, we was almost late because it was taking me way too much time to make the thumbnail we had for today. But I like that they're plug and play and I can just mix and match them. So it doesn't take up too much time, but I can give each one of them their own individual flair because, at heart, I do have a lot of artistic, interests. So it really gets a lot of that out when I get to do those.
Yeah. Yeah, this show is a good artistic outlet for me too. I like talking story points and stuff like that. So it's fun.
Matt, I hate to do this to you. Just keep talking. Riff for a minute. I gotta go pee.
So while he's gone, I know he's listening. He's got his earbuds in, but season 2 climax exploded into season 3. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about how long the break's going to be. For sure, it's going to be in the entire month of June. The entire month of June, we will not be doing a show. We may come back in July, but we may not come back until September. So it all boils down to when we have time. Normally, I will have time, but it all comes down to Tom and his newborn. How much time he believes he has on any given Saturday. So, but for sure, June we will not be doing a show at all.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's not necessarily true. I'm going to have, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be off of work, and I'm going to have some free time. I'm also going to have a baby, so maybe I won't really have free time. But I do plan on trying to work on, production stuff as far as the show goes, if I have the time. And also, we do have a couple episodes backlogged that I've worked on, but wasn't happy with and gave up on, that me and Matt just recorded separately away from the live streams that we've been doing. So it's possible that I may work on those and finish those just because I have that content that I can put out there. And I think they're both just regular rough crafts. And so it's possible that I'll still at least put those out. And it's possible that Matt and Devin may want to do a rough craft one night, and I can just work the stream while they do one and maybe be a third mic. So I don't want to say 0 shows until the show comes back. Most likely that's going to be the case, but there is also a possibility.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not coming on at all in June.
That is right. You did say you had a vacation going on.
Yeah, I'll be out of town from like either, I don't know which week. I don't know if it's the 3rd week or the 4th week, but I will not be here. But also, I'm working on getting a new vehicle towed to my house at that month.
Yeah, that new Chevy truck.
No, I gotta get
What did you end up going with?
I haven't.
Electric Ford?
We haven't decided yet. No, we hadn't decided yet because we've been focusing on putting the floors in this weekend.
I got you.
So we might go out Monday, but I don't know. But
well,
I'm focused on getting the Buick towed here that month.
Which Buick?
So I might be Yeah, you know the one. The
What's it called?
the 1972 Riviera.
You finally getting that, huh?
Yeah, the deed's in my name.
I'll believe it
So
when I see it, man.
yeah,
That thing's got
that's
a
what
lot of work that it probably needs at this point. That's gonna be
yeah.
cool,
So
man.
I plan on going over there and cleaning up that yard so I can get it out of there.
That's even more work.
Yeah, it is.
But
So
yeah,
that's what I'm planning on doing my weekends in June.
but yeah. I think at this point, I think we've kind of talked about what we need to talk about. I can't think of anything right now that I need to talk about with the show. Is there anything you got?
Other than just a recap, just work on our interview skills and make sure we set a dead time. I mean, we can't really set dead times because depending on what we have going on
Yeah,
each
yeah.
different
It's tough.
Saturday. So.
I think we've done a good job with the Saturdays. Obviously, different times on Saturdays, but keeping a consistent Saturday. That's what I want to do. Is at least keep a weekly day, if we can. Interview skills. That's just gonna come with time. I think even production value. I think the production value's pretty high for what we're doing. And I intend to try to keep it high and try to make it better. Like there's a lot of things I want to do. Like even the overlays we have, which I think are really good. I think you like the overlays. They're custom. Yeah. They're our own. I want to update those at some point because there's things whenever I made those that are small issues with them that you can't notice on the stream, but I know them, and I kind of want to adjust those. But anyways, I always try to make it. I try to make a goal every week to make the stream, add something new to the stream, make it a little bit better. I want to keep doing that. And yeah, just mostly it's our interviewing skills and making the show entertaining to watch and listen to. That is the main thing. As long as this, I think the production is higher. The production, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but the production is at a higher caliber than the quality of the content is right now. And once we can level them out, I think we'll be, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys think the content's great. I think maybe we'll be harsher on ourselves, but just work on those interviewing skills, get it more entertaining, and try to, constantly continue to update the production value of everything. And I think, my background's gotten better. My setup's gotten better. Matt's setup's gotten better. It's not so much today because he had, real life happen, but that's what we're doing. Real life is happening as we're trying to make this show, and that's why this show isn't a weekly or a daily thing. So
yeah, but if it ever did become daily, holy shit,
that would be fantastic. Me and Matt could sit down, record an episode, send it to that guy we have hired, and he can put it all together. That would be wonderful. But I think, is that it?
I think that's it, man.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank you guys for coming checking out the Rough Craft, the show dedicated to creating new stories while enjoying a nice tasty beer. We like to make rough drafts while drinking good crafts. I am your host, Tom, and with me, as always, has been my best friend and co-host, Matt Clark.
Hey,
thank you guys for coming and watching this show, for any episodes you watched, and for the fact that you're still watching this one after the exciting, spicy stream we had earlier. Thank you guys for being here. And as always, we will talk to you guys again at a later date and time. Thank you.
See you in